Hello and welcome. This is my guide to Azta'rec. I'm going to try to keep this as concise as possible. So to begin, you want to mark the start of the fight. Before you start the fight, there's a few things you want to do. If you're a DPS or tank, you want to set Valera to healer. If you're a healer, you want to set Valera to DPS. Before you start the fight, you want to mark the cross in the center of the room on each point. I usually use skull, X, square, and moon for this. It's important that you do so. This is because there's a memory game associated to that, and having a visual makes that infinitely easier. I also recommend making macros, where 4 of them, one for each marker that you're placing down. I'm using a very basic one where it's just icon that looks vaguely like the marker I'm using, and when you hit it, you just fire into the chat channel that you're currently talking. That's skull, X, square, moon. One for each. Once you have everything properly set up, the fight has 2 phases. So the fight has 2 phases. The first phase is the general part of the fight. He will cycle through 4 mechanics on repeat and be a bit of a damage sponge. If you're a DPS or healer, his auto attacks are significant, and they'll be much more significant than they are in this video. Not just because I'm a tank, but also because PTR testing forced you to test at 309 eye level. And no one's going to be at that eye level for the first few days of Season 2. Which is what this guide's meant to prepare you for. But I digress. So the mechanics are, the first one he's going to do, frontal slam. It's a big green pie slice. It will be aimed directly at you. It will kill you if it hits you, but the cast is long enough that you should be able to easily dodge it. I've fired a collapsing star and then walked out of it. It's a reasonably long chance to get away, especially for a Delve Super Boss. The thing that's annoying about it is after the slam goes out, it will also just fire out green void zones. These will not kill you if you stand in them. They're not that damaging, but it's one of those things that it clutters the room as the fight goes on. Your instincts might be to keep the room clean because of that, and you probably can do so, but it is not your priority, and I'll explain why in a bit. Second mechanic, he has a dispel. If you're running healer Valera, you can ignore this mechanic. If you're playing healer, you have to cleanse it. It's bad. He has interrupt. If you're healer, Valera will interrupt it. If you're running DPS or tank, you interrupt it or you die. It does about 2.5 million damage or some other obscene number, but I know the number is in 7 digits, and you have to fire at least 2 tank cooldowns to not die. In my experience. And the last mechanic is he will summon dodgeable poison blobs from around the room. I believe these are connected to the amount of void zones that are on the floor, but I do not believe they actually spawn from the void zones. All I know is that the longer the fight goes on, the more of these you get. And they do about 500,000 damage or so, natty. It's enough damage to where if you get hit as a DPS or healer, you're probably getting killed by the next auto attack. And if you get hit as a tank, you might notice your health drop. But it won't kill you unless you get hit by several. And even then. So these 4 mechanics will cycle on repeat until the boss hits his damage breakpoints. The breakpoints are 90%, 60%, and 30%. Really easy to remember. It's every 30% after the first I guess it's a really weird one. I don't know an easy mathematical way to put it, but it's 90, 60, 30. Really easy to remember. And one very important thing to note, you want to be fighting near the center of the room at all times. If you want to live dangerously, you can stay toward the edge and try to keep the poison very clean. But when the boss is within 3% of the next damage phase, you damn well better be near the center of the room. Because when you hit that damage breakpoint, there is no chill. He will blink to the center of the room, and you have 2 to 3 seconds to get to safety, or you're dead. And on double question mark, when he blinks, he summons the dad. He will blink where he was standing. There will now be a copy of him. The copy is identical. It does the same things he does. The only difference is that the ad is not immune to crowd control, and that is very important. So, because he'll do the same things that the main boss does, and that includes the frontal pie slice, which looks identical to the danger zone on the memory game, which I'll be describing in a short bit. But I believe it's on the third memory game, or third splash of the memory game. He's going to do the frontal pie slice. It is a very good idea to crowd control him when he does that, just if he is doing it in an inconvenient way. It's another reason why I recommend playing a tank, because tanks have a lot of stops. Also worth noting, on the 7th pie slice, he will try to kill you with his the clone will try to kill you with the interrupt. You need to remember to, as you're doing the memory game, to get that interrupt or you'll die. It's one of those things that just sort of tries to overload your mental. This is a big reason why I recommend using the either using not the add-ons, but the macros, or if you're feeling extra cheesy, you call up a friend, you stream the fight on Discord, and you let them do the memory game for you. Hopefully you trust your friends. Either way, the memory, the ad aside, the memory game is pretty simple. What's going to happen is he will blink to the center of the room. There will be 3 pie slices that get lit up with a animation and 1 pie slice that won't. This will happen 5 times on the first set, and then after those 5 times, it will fire off again 5 more times in the same order as the original 5, but you cannot see which one is the safe zone. The safe zone will be the same exact one as the last one. That's why that's why it's a memory game, and that's why you want to have some way to remember the pattern that you just did. Once again, I do recommend using the macro approach, but you can do it in natty, you can do it with a friend, you can do it with the macro. Regardless of how you do it, you just gotta do it. It goes reasonably fast, and this is what the 30, 60, 90% phases are. There's one major difference, though. Every time you go into the phase, so there will be 1 extra step added. So, for example, on a 90% phase, there will be 5 cycles to the memory game, and you repeat it again. On the 60%, there are 6 cycles. So, for example, it'll be like Skull X, Skull X, Skull X. Hypothetically, that's a really easy one to memorize. If you get that one, hallelujah. But it'll be like, for that one, you have to go Skull X 6 times in a row. 3 times for the actual one you can see, and 3 times for the ones that you can't see, but are the same ones as the first one. And as you can guess, for 30% cycle, the hardest part of the fight, you have 7 steps to memorize. My brain is conveniently able to do about 5 regularly, doing it natty, because I tested this a fair bit on the PTR. I did it natty for the first few attempts. 6 and 7 were wrecking me on repeat, but I was able to do it, like, not consistently, but enough to where you could gamble on it. I recommend not doing it natty unless you are having fun with it like I was. Either way, the other thing to note is the extra steps don't speed up the memory game. This means that for the first memory game, the ad, you have the shortest amount of time to kill the ad. Because each time the ad steps to the memory game, you have a longer period of time to do the memory game. The boss, for whatever reason, doesn't take reduced damage during the memory game, and the ad will be there and attackable as you're doing it. You want to multitask, at the very least, so you can interrupt the ad to prevent it from killing you. But also, you do not want the ad to come out of that phase, because they both have an interrupt, and most classes only have one interrupt. If you're prop paladin, maybe you're fine. But generally speaking, when the memory game phase ends, the ad should be mostly dead. If it isn't dead, you're gonna have to stun it out rather than interrupt it, because you want to interrupt the main boss. He's immune to CC. Interrupt's the only thing you got, unless you like pop a immunity for the interruptible spell, and that only works like once or twice. But if you clear that part, you got it. The fight's over. This fight is perhaps one of the most generous ones as far as getting to the. If you can get past that last cycle on the 30% memory game, you are basically free. As long as you don't fall asleep and miss an interrupt, you are set. One final note. Blizzard does not want you cheesing the memory game by just tanking the splashes. Every time you fail the memory game, you get a debuff that increases your nature damage taken by 500%. The bosses, the only sources of nature damage on this fight are purely avoidable, so this won't automatically kill you, but it makes the fight a whole lot easier to die on. And you definitely can't just, like, oh, I'm a paladin, I'm going to pop bubble, and expect to have an easy time of it for that last bit of the memory game, because it'll only get you so far. One last thing before I call this. I strongly recommend playing a tank for this. If you don't have a tank spec, that's fine. I think tank is easiest. DPS is like 1 or 2 levels above tank in terms of difficulty. And I think healer is going to have an absolute miserable time at this, because there's a whole lot, simply because the ad exists, and also just because of how long it takes for a healer to do this challenge. Like, it'll take like 10 minutes if you're lucky, and that's a lot of dodging and thinking to do, especially if you have to tank the autos, which you probably will. Hopefully this guide was helpful. I try to keep it as brief as possible. I don't know if I did a very good job of that, but if you got this far, thanks for watching. The fight will be opening up tomorrow. Probably should have made this a little bit earlier, but it is what it is. If you're going for Hall of Fame, the time limit is until the end of next week, so the 25th, I believe. I wish you good luck with that. If you have any questions, I can try to provide answers. I've tested this fight a few times in the PTR. It's worth noting that the fight isn't as easy as it looks on the recording, because PTR forces us to test at 309, and they give us like the full value of the, like, this character's pretty optimized for it. Like, this is a character that would probably be doing it like 2-3 weeks to a month into the patch, versus what we're gonna be looking at on week 1, season 1, or season 2. Anyway, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, have a wonderful day.